Our streaming.
Are you guys still having those? And the lady is like, yeah, I think so. Oh my gosh, that's strange. Thank you.
With Flonase, allergies don't have to be scary. Spraying Flonase daily gives you long-lasting, non-drowsy relief. Psst, psst. Flonase, all good.
He wanted to decimate the insurance industry.
He assassinated an innocent man.
And people love him for it. Law & Order, new Thursday on NBC and Peacock.
The Andes, where a miracle of nature is captured. These frogs can freeze solid and come back from the dead every day.
The Americas, new Sunday on NBC and Peacock.
In 2 short days.
A man.
Hello. You gotta give the people.
Streaming exclusively.
You gotta give the people.
On Peacock.
You gotta give the people what they want.
Be exquisite. Be extravagant. Be a little extra.
Oh, I know.
I think it's a bit much.
Experience the joy of Wicked on Peacock.
I'm here by myself a lot.
Peacock, the streaming home of Wicked.
Live from your trusted news leader, this is KTTC News at Noon.
We are taking a live look outside at Highway 52 and 55th Street Northwest as a winter storm system is intensifying. Much of the KTTC viewing area is under a blizzard warning. We have team coverage to keep you safe in the hours to come. Our Eric Min is paired with a driver to share current road conditions in our region that aren't very good. First, let's start with meteorologist Ted Schmidt joining us live on our weather patio. With our first alert forecast, Ted, what is the latest on the system?
Well, Jesse, it's been really coming down here as far as snow goes for about the last hour and a half, accumulating here a little bit in the last hour. The pavement is wet. Elevated surfaces are starting to see some accumulation. That's really going to pick up. The intensification of the snow is going to go on. It's going to get heavier, and as the temperature gets colder, we're going to be right around the freezing mark, if not colder than that. In fact, right now it's 31 degrees. You're going to start seeing a little more of that accumulation. Possibility of 2 to 4 inches of snow here in Rochester by the time the system moves out of here just before sunset this evening. But right now, wet pavement. And road conditions are deteriorating, in fact, very quickly, especially west of Rochester. Here in the Med City, it's mostly partially covered roads, but you see areas where it's pink. Those are fully covered, and they're getting worse by the minute. A lot of accidents reported, especially on Interstate 90 between Rochester, Albert Lee. It even points to the west and in North Iowa. So it's kind of a rough day on the roads. You can see a picture here around Rochester. Roads are partially covered. You've got a lot of snow in the grassy areas. Looking also around Clear Lake, that's where some of the heaviest snow has been falling here. There was thunder snow, and still there is quite a bit of thunder in that area. That is convective snow. That certainly can enhance snowfall rate when you have that type of environment. And around Owatonna is seeing a little bit of snow along Interstate 35. Right now, visibility an issue where it's snowing heavily and where there's a lot of wind. Rochester, half a mile, quarter mile in Mesa City. That will deteriorate as well. Those are the elements. They go together with a blizzard warning, and that blizzard warning impacts a big part of our area until 10 o'clock this evening. Heavy snow, blowing snow, slick roads, and whiteout conditions. All those concerns today, slowing traffic and making for a treacherous day on the roads. You see the enhancement of the blue, a lot of dark coloring there, showing the snow falling more heavily. Building northward, not as much of the green, not as much of the lightning as there has been in the past few hours. We're going to still see a little bit of that lightning here for another couple of hours in North Iowa. That is going to taper off, though, and just be a heavier snow environment until about 5 to 7 o'clock this evening when the snow begins to taper off. Blizzard warning. Rochester's in it, as well as most of the area to the south and west until 10 o'clock because of the poor road conditions and visibility. 31 here at the studio, north winds 25 miles per hour. It feels like 16. A lot of wind and a lot of blowing snow going on. At the airport, it's 30 degrees now. In Rochester, Mesa City, 31, Owatonna, 33. And look at the heaviest snow through about 5 to 7 o'clock, then tapering off. But 2 to 4 inches of snow here in Rochester. Areas just southeastern. There's a heavier band between Mesa City and Winona that may yield as much as 6 or more inches of snow. Temperatures steady around the freezing mark, around 31 to 32 degrees right through this evening. The snow tapers off between 5 and 7 this evening. But the blizzard warning goes until 10 because of the wind. Well, we're going to hear more about the road conditions. First-hand accounts from Eric Min, who's on the road. Let's send it to Eric.
Hey there, Ted. We are currently on I-90 headed towards Austin right now. And first of all, as you can see from the view of our car, visibility is very poor. The whiteout conditions that you mentioned are certainly at play here. This has been pretty much the case all throughout our journey on Highway 52 South and I-90 West. And it's especially getting even worse and worse on I-90. The wind and all that heavy snow is making it really challenging with the blowing snow to see stuff like road signs and the cars until like we're pretty much close. And as we're driving right now, it's only getting worse and worse. On the other hand, road conditions also have been getting worse and worse as we travel on I-90 west from Rochester to Austin. It was pretty clear for the most part when we were on Highway 52 South earlier, but with a couple of slip spots during our travel with all that slush. But right now, as you can see from our camera, I-90 West is pretty much covered, and it is a really difficult condition to be out driving right now. And in terms of crashes, we have seen like a couple of car crashes here and there. We haven't seen any impacted trucks, but we saw some cars that were being towed and stuff. And with that, I'm sending it back to you, Jess.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric Min, giving us a live look at some conditions that are pretty concerning out there. Of course, we did pair Eric with a driver for safety. We sure appreciate that live look. We'll check in with him a little later. A reminder, you can always get our first alert weather updates anytime, anywhere by downloading our free news and weather apps right to your smartphone. You can also get up-to-date weather information on our 24/7 weather live stream. That's available to watch live at KTTC.com. We are learning more about a story we first brought you Tuesday at noon, a stabbing that took the life of an employee at a Mankato Quick Trip. A suspect is in custody. Police say the two men did not personally know each other. Officers were called to the location on Madison Avenue in Mankato about 3 Tuesday morning for a disturbance. They found an unresponsive employee, now identified as 34-year-old Dennis Vasica, on the ground with a knife wound. Another employee who had been working with him was able to escape and call 911. The victim was taken to Mayo Clinic Health System, where he was pronounced dead. After reviewing surveillance footage, police arrested 28-year-old Michael Miller. They say he was a regular customer at the store.
It doesn't appear that they were known to each other, the victim and suspect, other than Mr. Miller was a frequent customer at Quick Trip, so they recognized him as a frequent customer, but there was no type of relationship between the two. It just appears to be a random act of violence, sadly.
Miller is being charged with second-degree murder. Police are working with the Minnesota BCA on the investigation. In a statement, Quick Trip CEO Scott Zietlow said, quote, At Quick Trip, the safety and well-being of our coworkers are our top priorities. We are committed to maintaining a secure and supportive workplace for all coworkers. He went on to say, we want to make sure that everyone feels safe and supported during this challenging time. You may see police officers patrolling the subway and skyway systems in downtown Rochester. This is an effort by the Rochester Police Department in partnership with Olmsted County to tackle and solve the issue of people experiencing homelessness by increasing patrols in the downtown area. Officers patrol an hour-long route looking for anyone trespassing at businesses or sleeping in walkways.
Most of the time when they are willing to accept those resources or help, or we're very lenient and we want to get them to that next step. However, we have a lot of service resistive people that, you know, we've educated and offered a lot of those resources to them, but they're not seeking to better their situation.
In January alone, RPD responded to about 150 trespass incidents in the Skyway and subway system in Rochester. The search continues for Casson Manorville's next superintendent as the district has narrowed the field to 6 semifinalists. The school board unanimously selecting those finalists from a pool of 18 applicants to interview for the school district superintendent position. Public interviews were scheduled to begin today. Due to weather, those will now begin Friday at the Casson Manorville High School Community Forum Room. You can find the list of finalists on our website. Meanwhile, the Albert Lee School Board has narrowed their field of applicants for a new superintendent. The board unanimously agreed on 5 semifinalists. One of them has already committed to a new position. The 4 remaining candidates are the current superintendents of Byron, Blue Earth Area Schools, Kenyon-Wanamingo Public Schools, and the St. James School District. Public interviews with these semifinalists are scheduled for next Wednesday in the Brookside Education Center. A longtime local faith leader is looking to the next chapter. After more than 5 decades of meeting people in life's joys and sorrows, we'll sit down with this beloved leader of the Catholic Church as he prepares for retirement next.
You're smart. Your TV is smart. That's why you cut the...
A Med City leader in the Catholic faith is preparing to step down from the downtown parish he's served since 1995. He has left a lasting impact on visitors from around the globe who have entered the doors of his church. Our Charles Kelly sat down with Monsignor Jerry Mann as he's preparing for his next chapter of life.
Jess, in his 80th year of life, Father Mann has served the Diocese of Winona-Rochester for 54 years, and 30 of those years as a priest for the Co-Cathedral of St. John the Evangelist Catholic Church downtown.
I love being here. I love the priesthood, and I am grieving to let go of this.
For the past 3 decades, Pastor Jerry Mann has watched the Med City develop around his parish in the heart of downtown Rochester.
Actually, the bishop told me I was going to move. We have a policy of every 12 years. And then the lay people put my name up to chair the committee and raising millions of dollars.
Also serving as a trustee on the Rochester Catholic School Board, supporting the growth of Rochester Catholic schools.
Then my new bishop came and he said, well, why don't you just stay here? So that was a wonderful gift, the new Lourdes High School.
The Co-Cathedral of St. John the Evangelist underwent renovations in 2001, bridging a new path to downtown by adding its own subway entrance, making it easier for patients and staff to access.
It really moves my own faith, moves my own humanity, gives me purpose. It's a treasure, honestly, to meet all of these people from the world, from the Mayo medical community. So sometimes it's a 2 or 3 minute connection. Just walk into the church, you meet someone. On the weekends, it's an abundance of people, and Catholic, of course, but non-Catholics as well, because we're right at the heart of the city.
A farewell to this chapter of his life as he retires from his duties this summer.
But what's happened to me just in these last couple weeks is people say, I'm happy for you and I'm sad for us.
But among the mixed emotions, Father Mann says he's filled with appreciation.
Charles, gratitude. I have enormous gratitude of making those connections.
Entering his next chapter with a renewed sense of hope.
And then the world clearly the drama of so many painful realities, and yet I'm filled with hope because of the human condition, human beings generating new life.
Father Mann tells me he will continue to serve the diocese in his retirement and serve as a substitute priest for other parishes where needed. And he'll be stepping down to St. John come July 1st.
Thank you, Charles. What a beautiful tribute. Such a special story and special person to so many people. All right, we have weather to talk about. And as you saw, the camera's ready to zoom in on Ted and get the very latest on a pretty strong system.
Intense storm system. We have a blizzard warning that goes on for the rest of the day. We have heavy snow, thunder snow happening, and poor visibility. So a lot of elements in this system that we're tracking. We'll talk more about that and look ahead at your full 7-day forecast after our market report.
Missed part of our newscast? KTTC has...
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Ted Schmidt.
Moderate to heavy snow sweeping across the area at this point. Rochester, partially covered roads as far as road conditions go. We have about a quarter inch of snow on the ground here. That's where we could measure it. It's the elevated surfaces. But in time, we're going to start picking up more of that snowfall as things intensify. The temperature remains cold and gets a little colder. We're just now below freezing for the first time today. That happened within the last hour. But areas to the west, that's where there's a vast deterioration in road conditions along Interstate 90, Albert Lee, and also in parts of North Iowa. Roads are purple. In other words, travel not recommended in some of those areas. So we're looking at some a whole slew of accidents in Interstate 90 and some very rough moving travel conditions at this point. Looking at some of the roads around Rochester and also around Clear Lake, you see the roads are fully covered in some spots. The snow is building up, and Austin, we even have some ice and snow on the camera. Earlier today, we had some thunder snow and some pretty intense snowfall rates from that. And that's here going on here in Rochester. Well, at least snow falling. We have moderate snowfall, big flakes and snow on the grassy areas, not so much the paved areas so far. Right now, our first alert forecast details today, as today is a first alert day. Heavy snow, blowing snow through the afternoon until just before sunset. That's when the snow will taper off. Possibility of 2 to 4 inches of snow here. Some spots will see quite a bit more than that, with whiteout conditions going on throughout the afternoon. With the snow combined with winds from 40 to 50, maybe 55 miles per hour, right through about 7 o'clock. The winds finally do drop off a little bit after 10 o'clock. That's why the blizzard warning goes until 10 o'clock. See the snow building northward. That main band of snow edging its way in from the south and west, and more than going out across the map through the course of today. Rochester among many communities in this blizzard warning. Mesa City, Fairmont, Austin, all in the blizzard warning till 10 o'clock as whiteout conditions the big concern here moving forward through the afternoon. Right now, 41 mile per hour gust in Rochester, 47 in Mesa City. We may see gusts up to 55 miles per hour today. The visibility now less than a mile. Rochester only a quarter of a mile, and quarter mile in Mesa City. And that's, again, the poor road conditions all around by the standpoint of what's on the pavement and what you can see, because it's hard to see in these situations. 30 degrees at Rochester's airport, 31 Mesa City, 33 in Owatonna. Winds especially strong through about 10 o'clock. Still gusty after that, but again through 10 o'clock is when we have the blizzard concerns going on for the rest of today. Future track, heaviest snowfall over the next few hours, beginning to taper off between 5 and 7 o'clock. Temperatures holding steady right around the freezing mark. Skies clearing off around midnight, dropping to low 20s. Winds slowly diminishing. A light breeze tomorrow, plenty of sun, and readings right around 40 in the afternoon. Totals around the area, Rochester 2 to 4 inches. 4 to 8 inches in this narrow band from Mesa City through Austin up to Winona, and 2 to 4 inches to the southeast of there. And the sharp drop off north of Rochester, only maybe a couple of inches at most north of Owatonna. So snow going on until about 5 until about 7. That range will be tapering off, but 2 to 4 inches in the heart of that band with, again, slightly higher amounts just southeast of Rochester. 32 today, is steady in that range for the most part, with wet snow and blowing snow, powerful winds gusting to 55 miles per hour. On the map, temperatures steady with snow going on until just before sunset. Rochester, Mesa City, Mankato not seeing as much snow, less than an inch there. 21 tonight in Rochester, 24 Mesa City. Skies clearing after midnight with kind of a rough breeze, again slowly dropping off. 7-day forecast Mankato, a chance of rain snow mix on Sunday, maybe some minor slushy accumulation in the evening. Next week looking a little more spring-like with sunshine and 40s. In Rochester, similar story with a little bit of spotty rain activity Friday afternoon and the rain snow mix on Sunday, but more 40s than 30s and a little more spring-like, but not as warm as the 60s we had earlier this week. We're definitely getting more March-like weather now, and it's kind of a sloppy day today, certainly.
It sure is a mess out there, but that is warm enough to do a lot of melting once this system moves along.
Yep, very slow meltdown with those 40s in the day and just below freezing at night.
Thank you, Ted. If Ted's afternoon outlook has you thinking of doing some baking today, here's Howard in the kitchen.
Over the years, we've made lots of desserts, but I challenge you to find one that's as rich and tasty as the ooey gooey one we're making today.
Minnesota Rusco is your hometown remodeler since 19...
A few weeks ago, our test kitchen team got together and we were talking about what types of recipes we should try. Well, Murley, our website editor, mentioned that something called an ooey gooey butter cake has been trending online and that we should check it out. So after a bit of research, we headed into the test kitchen and created our very own version. Let me show you how easy. We begin by mixing a package of yellow cake mix with an egg, along with some melted butter. Once that's mixed, we spread it into a baking dish. On top of that goes a mixture we threw together by creaming some powdered sugar, a couple more eggs, cream cheese, and a splash of vanilla. Now all we do is bake it off until the center is set. After it cools, cut it into squares, and are you ever in for a treat? You see, the bottom layer is buttery rich, and the top is almost like a creamy cheesecake. And when you eat them together, everyone will be asking for more. I sure hope you'll go online and get the recipe for our version of ooey gooey butter cake, so you can be up to date with a recipe that is very trendy. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a ooey gooey way for you to say, "Ooh, it's so good."
Maybe the perfect treat after shoveling some heavy wet snow out
There you go. Yeah, it's going to definitely be some dense, heavy snow to shovel, even if it's only a few inches where you're located. But here's word search weather. Cloudy with some heavy snow, some bursts of heavy activity, and strong winds. Temperatures right around the freezing mark with some wet snow going on until just before sunset today.
Thanks, Ted. Just ahead, we're going to check in on storm conditions around the area. Plus, a Minnesota lawmaker is facing serious charges after he was allegedly caught in a sting trying to meet a minor for sex. We'll get an update when we return.
Right now at Home Sleep Express.
We are taking a live look outside as a winter storm system is making travel a mess. Much of the KTTC viewing area is under a blizzard warning. We have team coverage to keep you and your family safe this afternoon. So let's get the latest. We have a team out on the road surveying the conditions. Our Eric Min paired with a driver to bring us current conditions throughout the viewing area. Let's start, though, with our meteorologist, Ted Schmidt. He is out on the weather patio. What's the latest on what we need to know on a first alert day?
Hi, Jess. Yeah, so far today it's been an interesting environment. I mean, we at one point here in part of the area had some sleet and some thunderstorms. There were even some severe thunderstorm warnings just south of our area very early this morning as part of this whole system. But there's been a gradual transition to a snow event, and the winds have really been with us. And so now it's light snow here on the weather patio, light to moderate snow. There's been a very slow buildup. We have a 1/4 inch of snow on the elevated surface on the ground, still pretty wet, but I think in time, over the next couple of hours, when the snowfall rates pick up and temperatures remain cold or get even colder, hovering right around 30, just below freezing, there'll be a slow build of accumulation. Will make for some difficult conditions. And here in Rochester, this area, we're in the blue on the map. This is the road conditions map telling us that roads are kind of wet, they're partially covered, but the southwest, a much different story. That's where the most of the accidents are going on. That's where we had most trouble, and that's where deterioration's been happening more quickly. The pink areas around Austin, Albert Lee, Mason City, and even points to the west of Mason City, the roads travel is not even recommended because of the rough road conditions, the powerful winds, the accumulation. Some of our road cameras right now, you see, especially around Clear Lake, more of that snow building up. Owatonna has really seen some accumulation in the past half hour, as has Ellendale. Visibility dropping off Rochester 1/4 mile, same situation in Mason City. And so with that poor visibility and rough road conditions, not a great deal to be out on these roads, especially in these blizzard warning counties where that's the case. First alert forecast, blizzard warning until 10 o'clock. We have whiteout conditions in open spaces and slick road conditions and several inches of accumulation in the way of snowfall. See, that's building northward, not as much of the rain, still some lightning being detected. That's the case, especially in North Iowa. There's a blizzard warning right now until 10 o'clock. Rochester and everything in orange down to Mason City and Austin, Albert Lee, and Algona, all in that warning until 10 o'clock tonight. It's 31 here at the studio. It feels like 16. The winds howling for the north at 25, gusty to 30 miles per hour. At the airport, a gust of 40 miles per hour. Just noted here at RST, Mason City, 47 miles per hour. Right now, those areas just below freezing in the low 30s. So for the rest of today, temperatures steady around 30 or 31 degrees. Periods of snow through about 6 or 7 o'clock. Here in Rochester, 2 to 4 inches of snow. Some spots just southeast here may see as much as 6 inches or more today before the snow tapers off before sunset. Ted's Trivia. Famous Old West lawman Wyatt Earp was born this date in 1848 in what state? He was also famous for being at the OK Corral much later than that. That's in Arizona. But we'll have this answer coming up in just a few minutes, Jess. Oh, no, first of all, in fact, no, you know.
Hey there, Ted. We're currently in Austin right now, and it is safe to say pretty much this whole city is covered with snow. First of all, as you can see from the view of our car, visibility is very poor. Much of the whiteout conditions that you mentioned earlier are happening significantly, and this is something that we've also significantly saw on our drive on I-90 West from Rochester to Austin. The blowing snow makes it really difficult to see stuff like road signs and cars until they're like kind of close. Along with visibility, another issue that we see very often, road conditions. They are deteriorating over time. The slips, it gets slippery very often, and it is only increasingly getting worse over time. So it is certainly a difficult condition to be out driving at this time. But in terms of crashes, we've also seen multiple car crashes on our way to Austin on I-90 West. We haven't seen trucks that were impacted, but primarily we saw many cars. Some of them were in the ditch that were being helped out by law enforcement and a tow truck. But in summary, visibility has been the greatest issue so far. Road conditions also deteriorating, getting more slippery over time, but we've also been seeing quite a number of crashes. Sending it back to you guys.
Oh, thank you for that live look at a situation where maybe we're best to stay at home. We do pair our reporters when they're giving us condition updates with the driver for safety so that they can focus on what they're seeing to help keep you and your family safe. Thank you so much, Eric. We'll look forward to your reports tonight right here. Calls in Minnesota are growing for a state senator to step down after he was arrested for allegedly soliciting sex from a minor. Danny Spiewak has the latest in a developing story.
Today is Tuesday, March 18th.
When the Senate Committee on Environment, Climate, and Legacy opened for business,
we are not in quorum yet.
The chair, belonging to ranking minority member Justin Eichhorn, sat notably empty following his arrest a day earlier on allegations of soliciting a minor for prostitution. Bloomington police say Eichhorn had communicated with their detectives thinking they were a 16-year-old girl and scheduled a meeting in this commercial area on Normandale Boulevard near I-494. Police Chief Booker Hodges released a statement saying, as a 40-year-old man, if you come to the Orange Jumpsuit District looking to have sex with someone's child, you can expect that we are going to lock you up.
2915, I'd like to thank my co-sponsors.
Eichhorn has represented North Central Minnesota since 2017, and on the very day of his arrest Monday was one of 5 Republican senators who introduced a bill to classify Trump derangement syndrome as a mental illness. Senate Republicans immediately called on Eichhorn to resign, as did the Minnesota State DFL party. However, DFL Senate leader Aaron Murphy did not go that far yet, saying only that the allegation is deeply disturbing and raises serious questions that will need to be answered by the court as well as his caucus and constituents. Murphy has also resisted calling for the resignation of her own DFL member, Senator Nicole Mitchell, who faces felony burglary charges, saying this about Mitchell's case a few months ago.
There are very fundamental principles, American principles, innocent until proven guilty.
U.S. customs officials are cracking down on egg smuggling. Plus, if you rely on Social Security, there are some changes coming you'll want to know about. And it's all to prevent fraud. We'll be right back.
Apple's tire service in Millville is having their annual...
The wait at your local Social Security office could get longer due to efforts to combat fraud. The Social Security Administration announced a change for people looking to file benefit applications who cannot prove their identities online. They must now visit a field office to complete the claim in person. Another revision bars beneficiaries from changing their bank account information over the phone. That could send millions more people to agency offices. The new anti-fraud rule comes at a time when the agency is aiming to cut around 7,000 employees from its workforce and close some offices. The Social Security Administration is operating at a decades lowest staffing level, even amid a ballooning number of people applying for and receiving benefits. Good news for pork and poultry facilities across the country. Processing speeds are getting faster. Our Ag Day Minute has more on that and a new smuggling discovery. Eggs.
I'm Clinton Griffiths with today's Ag Day Minute. USDA is announcing plans to make faster pork plant line speeds permanent. Now, the Food Safety and Inspection Service saying it will extend recent line speed waivers, allowing pork and poultry facilities to maintain those higher line speeds, pointing to recent research that found no direct link to higher processing speeds and workplace injuries. The National Chicken Council adding the part of the processing line that deals with the speed increase is almost entirely automated. Another raw cat food recall is being announced. Savage Pet announcing 2 of its products are being recalled because they have the potential to contain avian flu. It joins Wild Coast, which recalled batches of some of its cat food earlier this month for the same reason. Officials say no human cases of H5N1 have been reported while handling raw pet food, but they're urging customers to be cautious. The push to crack down on fentanyl is having an unexpected result. U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents are finding more eggs. CBP reports it's intercepted nearly 3,800 poultry-related products since October, compared to just 350 fentanyl seizures. Higher egg prices up to $10 per dozen in some places, leading to more smuggling and theft. Catching a first-time offender may result in a fine of $300. For more Ag News, watch Ag Day weekdays on the station or anytime at agweb.com.
Ag Day Minute brought to you by Jen Bush. Your
first alert weather with meteorologist Ted Schmidt.
We started with some thunderstorms in the area very early this morning, but the last couple of hours have featured a transition to snow. Snow is now covering the roads in a big part of the area. Rochester now partially covered, but you see Interstate 90 now fully covered pretty much all the way from the Wisconsin border all the way to west of Albert Lee, and especially North Iowa. That's where some of the more treacherous conditions are at this hour. Snow spreading northeastward and the road deteriorating as we speak. The conditions a bit on the rough side. You see visibility really dropping in spots, and not as much a concern with Mankato. They're getting glancing above the system, but less than an inch of snow expected. Just a few snowflakes here closer to Rochester. At least a couple of inches of snow already 1/4 inch on the elevated surfaces. Now the snowfall is going to intensify a little bit here for the next couple of hours, and it's going to ramp up the snow accumulation. Your first alert forecast details today. Heavy snow and blowing snow. Those are the primary concerns. Deteriorating road conditions and poor visibility. You've got the whiteout conditions going on, so traffic a concern today. Moving forward, up until about 7 o'clock, that's when most of the accumulation will be tapering off. But until then, you've got the powerful winds coupled with the snow accumulation, making for rough conditions for a whiteout scenario on the map. Rochester, 1/4 mile of visibility, 1/2 mile in Austin. Mason City, 1/4 mile, and that's going to go on here for the next several hours. Gusts 41 miles per hour, Rochester 33, Osage, Mason City 47 miles per hour. I suspect there may be some 50-mile-per-hour gusts yet ahead of us in the way of snowfall. Snow building northward. You see a lot of lightning being detected. Still, we've had a number of reports of thunder snow, even as close to Rochester as Rockdale, but also Spring Valley and areas along the Minnesota-Iowa border having some thunder snow, with the situation still happening now. Kind of a rare occurrence, but that convective activity sometimes enhances snowfall rates, that type of turbulence in the atmosphere. But we have a blizzard warning until 10 o'clock, Rochester and points south and westward, and that's going to go on here as road conditions and visibility remain a problem. 30 at the airport in Rochester, Charles City 32, it's 34 in Mankato. Gusts, especially through 10 o'clock, reaching 35, 40, maybe even 55 miles per hour. Even after that, still kind of breezy. Blowing snow tapering off after midnight, with the blizzard warning until 10 o'clock this evening. Future track, snow goes on. We have the heaviest activity over the next 2 or 3 hours. Then after about 5, between then and 7 o'clock, the snow tapers off. Temperatures hovering right around 30 to 32 degrees. And then after midnight, skies clear off and the winds diminish and temperatures drop to low 20s. 2 to 4 inches of snow in Rochester. There's a narrow band here between Mason City, around Northwood, up to Austin, and around Chatfield and through Winona. What 4 to 8 inches may accumulate today. So 4 or more inches in a few spots. Otherwise 2 to 4 inches through about 5 or 6 o'clock, then tapering off beyond that for the hours that follow. 32 today is snow and blowing snow. North winds gusting to 55 miles per hour. On the map, temperatures steady around the low 30s with gusty winds. Periods of snow through 6, maybe 7 o'clock, but much lighter amounts in Mankato. 21 tonight in Rochester and 21 overnight in Charles City. Albert Lee, 20 skies clearing after midnight. And 7-day forecast looking at some 40s, several days of 40s with some sun in the coming days. And here in Rochester, after today's first alert day, just a couple of spotty rain showers Friday, and then rain changing maybe to some minor snowfall Sunday, with readings in the 40s at least during the daylight hours. Ted's Trivia. Famous Old West lawman Wyatt Earp was born in this state in 1848. In what state?
I think he was born in Missouri. C.
Not too far from Missouri. He was born about half an hour south of me in Monmouth, Illinois.
I should have known your home state.
Yeah, Monmouth. We're fellow Illinoisans.
Another claim to fame. Thank you, Ted. A court hearing in the Dominican Republic turns chaotic in the case of a missing American college student. An Iowa man now finding himself at the center of this investigation. An update just ahead. In the Dominican Republic, there is still no sign of the missing U.S. college student who vanished while on a spring break trip nearly 2 weeks ago. Her parents are now speaking out for the first time, as the Iowa man, believed to be the last person to see their daughter alive, was in court Tuesday for a chaotic hearing. NBC's Jesse Kirch was in that courtroom and has more from the Dominican Republic.
Joseph, you have your passport back? This morning, Joshua Reeby appears to still be stranded in the Dominican Republic after a judge on Monday granted a partial legal victory to the American at the center of a high-profile missing person case. The 22-year-old from Iowa has been under intense scrutiny for days because he may have been the last person seen with Sudiksha Kunanki, the University of Pittsburgh student who vanished in Punta Cana on March 6th. Reeby's lawyers say as the search for Kunanki intensified, his passport was confiscated, with police escorting him anywhere he goes. The college senior saying in court, "I really just want to be able to go home." The more than 2-hour hearing repeatedly devolving into a shouting match between Reeby's lawyers and prosecutors, who argued Reeby has never been detained. They say he's a witness, not a suspect, but they still oppose his push for freedom.
The idea that the most important witness in a case that could potentially become a criminal case is about to leave their jurisdiction forever likely has them worried.
The prosecution also says it does not have Reeby's passport. We pushed for answers in their first on-camera interview about that.
Excuse me, sir, which branch of the government has Joshua Reeby's passport, if you know?
I don't know the passport.
So you don't know anything about the passport?
I don't speak Spanish, English. Sorry.
You're speaking English right now. So you don't know anything about the passport?
The judge later siding with Reeby, saying he has the right to move freely without a police escort, but adding the passport issue belongs in another venue.
Very bright student.
Earlier, Sudiksha Kunanki's emotional parents spoke on camera for the first time since police say the family wrote them a letter asking for a legal declaration of her death. NBC station in Washington, D.C. was there.
We are coming to the terms with the fact that our daughter has died. This is incredibly difficult for us to process.
Reeby previously told police that he had pulled Kunanki into shallower water while the two were in the ocean. Yesterday in court, he said Kunanki's mother told him, "Thank you very much for helping save my daughter the first time." Reeby later refusing to answer reporters' questions as he left the court.
Story will continue to follow. We will be right back with an announcement from the Minnesota State Fair. We leave you with a warm thought on a wintry day. A concert announcement from the Minnesota State Fair. The Steve Miller Band with special guests the Rascals will perform in the grandstand on Thursday, August 28th. The Steve Miller Band has been cranking out the hits since the 1970s. Familiar songs like Take the Money and Run, Fly Like an Eagle, Jet Airliner, Jungle Love, and Abracadabra. And we could go on and on. They have a lot of hits. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. And Ted, that's just what we need, something to focus on that has us thinking those warm thoughts, because it's a mess out there.
Yeah, that's right. Thinking about the State Fair and the Steve Miller Band. That sounds like a lot of fun. Today, not so fun, much fun beyond the roads. Snow goes on. It'll ramp up here for another few hours. Between 5 and 7 begin to taper off, but 2 to 4 inches of snow could be expected. Reports now of up to an inch of snow being reported now around Rochester. So another couple of inches, I think, very possible in the next 5 or 6 hours before things taper off. It's the wind that's reducing visibility, making road conditions a problem. That's why we have a blizzard warning. That goes until 10 o'clock. Temperature steady around 31, and then tapering off around 7 o'clock this evening.
Thank you, Ted. We hope you have a good afternoon. Take care out there.
Custom alarm